One of the Secure Act 2.0 features or tax law changes that I was most looking forward to is supposed to be out, but it's been delayed. I'll give an update on that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Assuming that you have the choice, and 90% of 401ks give you this choice, you have the choice of making your contributions pre-tax or Roth. That's your choice, and that's a financial planning choice. It's a tax planning decision, both for today and for the future, and therefore you need comprehensive financial planning to make a wise decision there and then revisit that decision every single year. But pre-tax is just as it sounds. You make your contribution into the 401k. It's a deduction from your income today. So if you're in a high tax bracket today, lower tax bracket out in the future, that makes a lot of sense because your contribution is a tax deduction. It's invested and sheltered and all that sort of stuff. So nothing is taxed along the way until you take the money out in retirement. Withdraw those dollars. That's when it shows up on your tax return. So that's pre-tax. Roth, you guys know, that's after tax. So there's no tax benefit or no tax deduction today. It's invested and it's all sheltered from tax. Nothing shows up on your tax return. And then when you withdraw it, all the growth comes out tax-free. So if you're in a low tax bracket today, but a high tax bracket in the future, or who really cares what tax bracket you are in the future, that's where the Roth can make sense, okay? So pre-tax, if you're in a high tax bracket today, low out there in the future, and the opposite of that is where the Roth 401k makes sense. So that's your choice on your contributions. Now, if you're fortunate, you might have a company match into your 401k. I don't have the percentage. I think majority, maybe 75% of 401ks offer a company match. Well, is that company match pre-tax or Roth? It's always been pre-tax. Always been pre-tax, where the company makes that contribution into your 401k, and even if all of your contributions have always been Roth, the company dollars and the growth on those company dollars will be pre-tax, and when you withdraw those, you're going to have to pay tax on them. Well, one of the things I actually talked about for a couple of years was, gosh, it'd be great if those could be Roth, and people have asked that question several times to the Wise Money Show. Hey, can I have my employer contributions go into the Roth side of my 401k? And the answer's been no, up until now. The Secure Act 2.0 was the omnibus spending bill passed late December in 2022. It included about 100 tax law changes, and one of my favorite was that you now have the ability, and that's right now, have the ability to have your employer contributions, your employer match, go into the Roth side of your 401k and not just pre-tax. Fantastic, was made effective immediately in 2023. Here's the problem. At the time I'm recording this, it's late third quarter, fourth quarter is right around the corner, and even though it's allowed, it's still not possible. Turns out that the logistics of making that choice have been a lot more difficult to pull off. It's not just, well, it's a web development where Fidelity or Vanguard or your company needs to add a button where you can click, yes, I want it to be my employer match to be Roth. There's much more to that. In fact, the law actually said, had a clause in there that said, in order to do this match needs to have a non-forfeiture feature to it, meaning you can't forfeit this match, i.e., no vesting schedule, or you're already vested. And so the IRS is trying to interpret, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that if there is a vesting schedule, this isn't even a choice, even though it could be other places because you have a vesting schedule, it's not a choice? Or does it mean, well, until you're vested, you can't make this choice? And we'll see what they decide. So even though it's legal, no one's been able to do it. Hopefully the logistics get worked out here pretty soon, and you'll be able to make this choice coming up. What still also is a question, though, and I've had this question from the very beginning, is if you choose this, then that means your employer match will now be included as income on your tax return, possibly, likely on your W-2 as well. So how will you do the tax withholdings on that? Will your withholding from your paycheck increase to cover this company match that's now going to be taxable? I would assume that they will. However, hearing from a very informed source just last week, he's thinking they won't. He's thinking that all of this match income will show up on your W-2 as income, but there'll be no withholdings for it. So therefore, you'll need to either pay an estimate or increase your withholdings on your own in order to cover the tax on this new source of income that you're now going to have to pay tax on. So that's a planning topic that you'll want to work with your CFP on. Both, should you do this? Should you have your employer match be Roth or continue it be pre-tax? And if you do want it to be Roth, how are you going to handle the tax withholdings? Now, finally, what if you said, yeah, I was actually really looking forward to that too. I can't believe it's not out yet. I'm growing impatient. Well, guys, you could actually implement it right now, even if you technically can't facilitate it out there in maybe for another few months or maybe sometime in 2024. How would you do that? Go in and do what's called an in-plan Roth conversion. Find out how much match that you've either received already year to date or will receive for this whole year. And if your plan allows, many of them do a Roth conversion, an in-plan conversion that moves those match dollars from pre-tax over to Roth. You'll then get a 1099, a tax form saying you moved this money from pre-tax to Roth. Now it's got to land on your tax return. There'll be no tax withholding on that. But again, that's what could be possible once this is elected, that you could have your employer match be Roth, but there's no tax withholdings to adjust for it. So you'll just have to manage that. But even though it's not logistically possible just yet, you could still do it, have the exact same outcome by doing an in-plan conversion. And you might look at that and say, well, gosh, for whatever reason, that doesn't sound quite as nice or quite as good as just having me make that election. And it's because you can very clearly see, here's how much money is going to become taxable, and therefore I'm going to need to come up with the withholdings for that. And that just emphasizes the point that this is a financial planning decision, a comprehensive financial planning decision. You've got to look at your cash flow, you've got to look at your tax picture, your investment structure, your estate plan, and your long-term retirement plan to see, well, does this make sense? When the rubber meets the road and my company match will turn out to be, I don't know what in your situation, $4,000, and gosh, $4,000 extra income that without any taxes, what's that going to do to my refund? Or am I going to, that's when you really start seeing, well, should I do this or not? Work with your certified financial planner. They're going to be the ones doing the tax planning and that comprehensive financial planning work to see if this makes sense for you or not. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.